My name is Clay Rankin. I am a practicing civil lawyer for the last 50 years. I am also the inventor of Cognito legal workflow software. During my 50 years of legal work as a civil litigator, I have spent a good bit of time trying to figure out how to harness and harmonize legal technology using computer systems with the management of the kinds of information that we as litigators have to have our hands around. I think that lawyers tend to work in piles of paper. They put them on their desktop, they put them on the floor surrounding their desks. Their secretaries keep them outside on shelves where they are available by asking the secretary to bring a particular file. There's very little effort to get out of the paper world and into the digital world in terms of how to get face to face with important legal information. I've also noticed that lawyers working on the same case have their own separate sets of this information, and that there's no ability for one set to see the other set. Everybody lives in their own isolated silo. Lawyers use their desktop computers in a very limited manner in doing their work. Email, certainly, some messaging, some work looking up things on the internet, maybe reading documents, but there's not any direct interaction with a set of technological information that comes out of the computer. The experts tell us that most lawyers spend at least a half a day out of every 5-day work week looking for things they already have but that they cannot find. If you have information in digital format and you can access on the computer, there are a number of important productivity advantages. The first one is it's a lot easier to go back and find exactly what you need. The computer is dumb as a rock, but it can find things really fast and get them in the order that you need them. The second thing that is just very important is if you have things in a digital environment, multiple people can use that same digital workspace to do the same piece of work together. They can see the work that each other is doing. They can give each other feedback in real time. They can answer questions like, how far along are we with this process? Having the access to the real data in real time is a tremendous collaboration tool and a tremendous time saver. The ABA standard for competency for lawyers, which has been adopted by over 30 states now, says that we need to use reasonable care to stay abreast of the risks and benefits of legal technology. Lawyers understand this. Lawyers are concerned about this. If you ask a lawyer, they will say, yes, I need more technology, but the problem is they don't know how to go about finding out what they actually need and how to get it. Well, one approach that seems to be popular is to scout the market of available legal management software, go buy a product, and start doing what the product tells you to do. I suggest that that's skipping a really important step. And that step is look at your own professional workflow and decide what steps you typically go through in completing a legal task and how these steps fit together in a logical order. When you can answer that question, then it's time to go shopping for a piece of software or multiple pieces of software that will assist you through that workflow. I believe that whenever a lawyer does a piece of work, you go through 7 steps. The first one is to look at a list of everything you have to do today and to choose the priority in which you do them. The second step is to choose one of them and start working on it. The third step, which is the hardest, is to gather all the information, the legal knowledge, the briefs, the old pleadings in your files, the trips to the law library, your internet legal research. The next step after you gather all this information is to organize it logically and in a proper sequence so that you can make it into a work product. The fifth step is actually to create the product, which is normally done by our typing out a draft or dictating it and our secretary typing a draft and us working through the process of editing it, creating a final draft, turning it into a preservable document like a PDF, and filing it. The sixth step is to save that work product in a way where we can easily find it again when we need it. The seventh step is in the future when we need to do a similar kind of thing, we can go back to that task and that work product and repurpose it for a task in the future, therefore avoiding reinventing the wheel as much as possible. I'd say the three key points here are: assemble all of your information in doing a task around the task itself. Don't go to the project level and try to keep everything there. Do everything at the task level. The task is like the tent pole that holds up the whole tent. The second key point that I cannot overemphasize is to create a process that takes you from A to Z from the time you start working on the task until the time you finished the work product and saved it. And don't try to break the workflow into pieces and buy a product to do one piece and a product to do another piece. The third key point is to use a database approach to storing all of the kinds of information that you're using in managing that task. And that includes not only the task itself, but all the quotations you pulled out of the documents, all the facts, all the legal issues. The database approach is to keep all similar information in the same manner and to put it into a system that can rapidly recall and organize that information. Virtually every element in your case that you're working with can be in its separate database. All your emails, the names of all your projects, the users that are working on it, the witnesses, whatever, but keeping it in an organized manner by collecting all these similar pieces of information and putting them in a computer is an example of a database. You will be avoiding that half a day a week loss that I mentioned earlier in this conversation. You'll be able to use that time to serve another client or go fishing. So you're gaining time by using this system. The experts will tell you that you will bill 10 to 20% more hours if you use a contemporaneous recording of time into a database method of keeping your time. So all those things make you more efficient. You work with less stress, you work with more confidence, and you enjoy your legal experience more because the database is going to save you money, make your law practice more profitable, but it's also going to make it feel easier, less stressful, and less chaotic. The first obvious pitfall is that you get a great system that's just wonderful, but people don't use it. Or that people use it in wildly different ways so that their information they're putting in is really not compatible. You need to decide not only that you're going to use it and take the discipline and the hard work of learning to use it, but also that everybody's going to use it in basically the same manner so that the information flows smoothly depending on who did it. Another big pitfall is people will look at it and say, it's just too hard. I'm not going to learn how to do this. What they're missing is they're going through the work process of gathering this information anyway. The database doesn't ask you to do anything you're not doing anyway. It just captures it when you do it. So you're still going and finding those cases. You're still copying in the law library. You're still interviewing witnesses. You're still doing all of, even finding a simple phone number. But if you don't put it in the system when it's there in your hands, then you're just going to lose it and have to go back and find it again. Finally, you can, by using it, avoid duplicating work. By not using it, you can do the same thing over and over that somebody in your team has already done. What we've been talking about here can be summarized like this. Organize all your information around your tasks. Second, have a system that follows your entire workflow with the minimum number of applications that take you from A to Z and do everything you need to accomplish a task. Third, use a database approach to organize your information. And fourth, exercise the discipline and the firm decisions to actually use the system the way it's supposed to be used. Fifth, share all your information with your colleagues and coworkers via access to the same workspace, which is organized as a database. Legal technology is not your enemy, it is your friend. It takes some getting used to, but if you will simply identify the things that you actually need to do your work as we have discussed, you can find that assembling the correct legal tools to follow your own workflow so that technology works for you, not the other way around,